Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I was I was teetering on if I should do a review or not, but this episode was too much to not sit there and talk about. Now, I want to start off with Sloane and Eric, right? Because he finds out that Sloane hasn't paid the rent in like 2 months. He's like, oh well, she has a lot on her mind. I'm like, 2 months, bro. Let me tell you something. As a grown adult, you don't tend to just forget about any bills. You don't. Trust me, you really don't. So, he talks to her about it and, he tries to come up with some sort of budget and stuff like that. But I'm like, bro, as bad as it is, you should be contributing more towards the rent situation. I always sit there and joke around and call Eric the bum and stuff like that. And yeah, he does have a job. But I'm like, bro, you talked about how you always want to have a child, but children cost money, right? So it's like, yeah, you want a child, but in the history that I've seen, he's never been the type of person that's been like financially stable. But yet you want a child, and now that you have a child, you're looking at Sloan like, oh, why you didn't pay the rent this month? I'm like, why didn't you not pay the rent this month? I don't know. Maybe I'm old school, but I'm like, bro, you should definitely be stepping up as the man of the house. I understand it's, the 21st century, but I'm like, bro, as the man of the house, as the king of the castle, you sitting there looking at your wife like, oh, so what's going on? Because, the landlord said you had to pay rent 2 months. Like, nah, bro, that whole conversation is so out of pocket. I'm like, what is going on? But he does sit there and take a look at their expenses and stuff. And Sloan is just trying to dip in and dip out. Like, oh, I gotta change the diapers. Oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta go out. I gotta go get more diapers and stuff like that. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm looking at this in the Sloan direction. I'm just like, you don't even want a child. Like, the problem is so it. I would have a little more somewhat more sympathy if I felt like she actually loved the child, if I felt like she was actually bonding with the child, but it's like the child is just there to please Eric and just to please her life. You know, she wants to have the good looking husband and the child and the whole American Pie thing. But I'm like, you don't actually even really love this child. You only wanted this child in the first place to please him. You're jumping through hoops. You are continuing to be blackmailed up until the point where you are giving this man an allowance. Like you worked out some sort of payment plan with your blackmail. Do you understand how dumb that sounds? Because even saying it out loud, I'm just like, uh, and it got to a point where she does talk to Leo, and they work out some sort of deal, whatever. Where it's like, now she only got to pay 40% of the blackmailing fee, and she's happy. And I'm like, what am I watching? When did we just get so cool to the point it's like, oh, my blackmail is actually a lot. He gave me 40% off, so I'm doing well. What the? You know, if this was back in the day, I would expect her to kill him, hurt him, okay, maybe kill or find some sort of leverage over him. That would have been my first thought. Not this blackmailing thing has been going on for months. This is beyond the point of stupidity. This is just dumb. This whole thing from the start to finish was just stupid. And I did feel that Leo was gonna give her some sort of break because he does love the child. He loves the child more than she does, which is so I knew he was gonna sit there and do that. I'm surprised he didn't just stop the blackmailing altogether. You know, And that's another thing. He always said that he made this very passionate speech about how he loves the child, he is the fairy godmother and everything like that, but you are taking money from him in a lot of ways. So that's just all sorts of ass backwards when you really start to think about that. You got that going on, right? You got Kristen and Nicole going at each other, which honestly, to tell you the truth, they were. You can honestly sit there and say they were both out of pocket talking about each other's kids. EJ came in there, because it got to a point almost got physical. And he came in there, he was like, yo, y'all need to sit there and chill out. He tries to side with his wife and is like, hey, listen, you can go if you don't like it here. Like, but EJ kind of forgot that she's been the mayor longer than him. She has just as much right to that whole place as much as he does. So Nicole's like, all right, fine, we'll just keep our children separate. Like, you want to keep your child separate from Tate, even though it was your child that was actually out of pocket in this whole thing, but whatever, fine. Um, I think that to be fair, I think that she only kind of agreed because of all the stuff that Tate's been through. Which again, I understand where Kristen's coming from with Tate. Um, but to be fair, Tate was stupid as far as trying to take the pills and stuff like that to try to cover for her. I thought that was stupid as well. Um, Xander realized that it's not over, right? Like, EJ did say he dropped the charges, inconclusive evidence, pants and everything like that. Really shows you a lot about the justice system when he had to sit there and kind of solve his own case. Something that any lab tech, any person with a brain could have looked at that footage and kind of figured it out, but apparently they were just too busy or just didn't care. But even when EJ saying that he's clear, he's like, this isn't over because whoever was going after him, whoever set this thing up, they put a lot of time, a lot of money. They paid him a lot of money and went through all this work. So he's like, it's not over. And Sarah did sit there and say, maybe Clyde. They had history and everything. Um, so I'm glad he's not just like, oh, well, I'm clear and free. Because, Sarah's like, should we even bother to do this? Be like poking the bear. But this guy's still out there. He went through all that trouble to sit there and frame him. What's the thing say he won't do it again? Or do something else? Once somebody's on your radar like that, you can't just sit there and think that things are scot free. So I get where he's coming from. Now, after Jada talked to Sloan, she went straight to the office to talk to Everett about getting the marriage dissolved. Even though Sloan was like, listen, even if he does sign the papers, because of his mental state, they may not even sit there and accept it. But she goes over it anyway, try to get it dissolved, and he's like, I can't do it. And Leo is just overhearing things, just like, oh, well, I mean, technically, we like fraud. Everett's just like, I'm not going to do it. Just being stubborn and pig-headed and just kind of stupid. And, even when Jada was like, you don't want to be married to you, and I was like, bro, when you act like that, I don't think any man actually wants to be married to you, if we're going to be honest. And I'm like, bro, just to get her off your back and to get her Karen ass from acting like a Karen, can you just sign the paper so she can just shut up? But he doesn't do it. He gets a good pep talk from Leo about, I feel bad about the situation you're in. Can I write your story? No? Okay. And Stephanie, for some odd reason, decides to go after Jada. And I'm just like, boom, why? Now, Jada did apologize for her being out of pocket in the way that she came at Stephanie. And she does accept it, which, to be honest, she's a better person than me because I couldn't sit there and see somebody coming at me with that much visceral anger over something that I didn't know and I had no control of. For her to sit there and say, well, you should have did a background check. No, you should have got therapy for your issues instead of taking it out on me. That's what you should have done. Because that's just not a common thing that most people do. It's not a common. Now, I'm not saying you can't do it or anything like that, or you shouldn't do it, but it's not a very common thing. So she was really out of pocket for that. Now, to tell you the truth, Jada, you don't have a lot of friends in this town. You really don't. Don't lose the one friend that can actually sit there and tolerate you on a bad day. Um, so she apologized for her behavior, and they're cool. Better than me. They're cool about it. And Everett does want to calling Marlena to try to get this situation in check. Now she didn't know about the marriage part, and I think because of that, maybe it's a good time not to sit there and stop dating him. I'm not saying stop dating him. I'm just saying just give it some space. Because yeah, she does feel empathetic for him, but he still loves her and he's still married to this woman. So take a little step back into he can also sort out his issues. Because right now, he doesn't even remember the life that he lived before. So I think that's probably for the best for him to sit there and figure out his mental issues. Especially in the preview when he sat there and shushed her, I was like, bro. Yeah, that was one of the things I was like, oh, that's not a good look. Anyway, I feel like there's more. Oh, and Eric did figure out there's something going on as far as with Sloan. Sloan is hiding something money wise. I may sit there and say that Eric is a bum, but he's not stupid. I also feel like he needs to sit there and step up, as the man of the house. I feel like that's the case too. It's like, yeah, okay, you should probably get to the bottom of it, knowing that she's hiding something, but that doesn't solve the underlying problem of you should be sitting there bringing more to the table, especially since you wanted this child. Like, did you just forget in your little happy place of Fantasyland that children do cost money and living does cost money, and the fact that she was paying more expenses than you didn't just set that off just as a male? Like, I can't. I can't. But I feel like that's about it. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are. And also, we can sit there and talk about this more on the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Talk about all the shows, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, and Young and the Restless. And I will see you in the next video.